Philippe Coutinho continues the development of his career. He's joined Al-Duhail on loan, Qatari side Al-Duhail on loan for the rest of the season. According to the BBC, the Brazilian midfielder, 31, has made just 2 substitute appearances for Villa this term after scoring 1 goal in 22 matches in the previous campaign. His current contract runs out in June 2026.
Jesus.
What have they done that for?
Wow.
Completed a move to Villa from Barca in July 2022. Gerrard at the time hailed him as a brilliant signing for the club.
Yeah.
Slipped up there, hasn't he?
I mean, he slipped up when he left Liverpool, to be perfectly honest with you. I absolutely live for this kind of stuff.
Can't be making Stevie G slip jokes, Sam. Not on these couches, mate. It's just not right.
He thought, obviously, Coutinho coming in, he probably sort of was heralded as a bit of a masterstroke at the time.
Yeah,
Remember, he hit the ground with Man United. I think they beat Man United like the first game with him.
Yeah.
He was
Came on as a
absolutely
sub and scored.
Yeah.
He was
didn't he?
brilliant, wasn't he? And you think, I'll tell you what, he's onto something here. But as it turned out, his career has continued to spiral out of control, quite frankly.
He's always flattered to deceive, Coutinho.
Do you think?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Like he always looks better than he is.
Okay.
Like
Really?
I think even at Liverpool, like, listen, don't get me wrong, I loved him at the time and stuff, but when you look back with the cold hard eyes, he just missed the target a hell of a lot. And Liverpool
Yeah.
could have scored a lot more goals if he wasn't just shooting from 35 yards and taking it all on him.
He had loads of quality, though.
He did have loads
And
of
he
quality.
hasn't shown it since.
He was
He's
our only
definitely
good
not.
player for a little while, so there was no one else who was capable of winning football matches for us, was the counterpoint. But, we'll never know with him.
I don't think Liverpool would ever hit the heights that they did, even if they kept Phil Coutinho in.
Okay, yeah.
In the starting 11.
I
I
think so.
know the Alisson and
Yeah,
the
Van Dijk money,
Van
yeah.
Dijk stuff, like, you know what I mean? But I don't think he'd have been a massive part of what we did had he stayed.
I think it's the hardest thing with this is that Liverpool did the right thing selling him, because the money they got for him was stupid. And as you say, if you just say, well, you swapped him for Alisson and Van Dijk, and they were the 2 players, you had Fabinho into the mix maybe, who gave us the foundation to go and be a super side. Beyond being a really good side, a really exciting side, it took Liverpool up to the top, absolute tip top. But it would have been fascinating to see what would have happened, because he was on for like a 25 plus goal season that last season, and that's the season where Salah gets 40 goals and Firmino breaks 20 goals, which very rarely happens, and Mane, it was around the 30 point.
When he was trying to play for a move for Barca.
Maybe, but it was also he was on that rise. He was due that.
Where does he fit in the league winning side in the first 11? Where does he fit in the side that won the European Cup in the first 11?
What's that?
I don't think he gets in the first 11.
You've loaded the question. That's the point. Yeah, in the first 11, it depends on the game, doesn't it? Because where did he fit in the 11 before he left?
He wasn't a very good 8. And he wasn't better than Sadio Mane on the left-hand side.
That was the issue. Not the issue. That wasn't the issue at the time, because he was brilliant at the time. But when looking back now with the benefit of hindsight, and you see what Jurgen Klopp transformed us into, and sort of that workman-like midfield more, as opposed to your flair and your glitz of Philippe Coutinho, then it is hard to see where he fits. But I think with somebody who was that talented and that brilliant during his time with us, you make them players fit. You're right to say, obviously, Sadio Mane, Firmino and Salah go on to do great things, and they have this understanding and this gel that you just can't make that up. It's just incredible. And the midfield, similarly, although it doesn't have loads and loads of quality and class in there, it just works. And I don't know where Coutinho fits, so I take your point, but I think he was so incredible. And he was a world-class talent.
What was his league tally for most goals in a season? Was it like 12 or 13, or did he get a bit higher than that? Or?
I don't know.
Because we've just talked about Neymar, right, scoring a bar well over a goal a game for some top sides in big competitions, and Phil Coutinho got nowhere near that.
No, he was
nowhere near that. And we were quite disrespectful of what Neymar has done. And yet, for a lad who played for us, I think it was about 12 or 13 goals in the season was his biggest return for us. Like, it's nothing like what we went on to achieve with Mane scoring 20 yards, Salah scoring 40 yards, Bobby Firmino getting around the same numbers that Coutinho was getting, you know what I mean? But I don't think it's outlandish to say that Liverpool...
We got better because
we were well better.
Yeah, God, yeah. My only counter is that was his season. That was the season
because he was playing for a move to Barcelona. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but that was the season he was due. He was on the pathway to being a 20 plus goal a season player for that on that particular season. He got 5 and 5, I think, in the Champions League before leaving us, and it's kind of hard to unpick because obviously he's got his Barcelona games at the back end. I'll see if I can get it up in terms of his total numbers. But his biggest goal scoring season for Liverpool was 14 goals in all comps. Well, sorry.
In all comps.
Yeah, in all comps. 14 and 36 in the 2016-17 season. He got 12 in 20 in his final half season before
he was playing for the move to
before
Barcelona.
leaving us. One of those is definitely a fact.
Is that the year that he had back trouble on the plane and all that type of stuff?
I know, to think he came back from a back injury, Chris, and got
still
12 and 20.
To do that.
So he didn't even play half a season. He played a month less than half a season, which is pretty phenomenal return.
Sure.
7 and 14 in the Premier League he ended on before leaving. So 1 and 2.
That's the best he ever did.
Yeah. But that was again
in half a season.
Yeah.
Couldn't even sustain it for a full season.
Well,
I didn't see him as a goal scorer though, like an out and out goal scorer.
Yeah, no,
that wasn't him. That wasn't
no,
him.
I agree.
Yeah, and I don't think, like Sadio Mane obviously is. Firmino wasn't, but Salah was. So I don't
How many
really...
league goals did Mane score that season?
What year was it?
17-18.
Maybe 14?
Nope. 10.
Wow.
Yeah. Just 3 more than Phil Coutinho in a full season, despite being miles better than him.
But he did. Phil Coutinho didn't score as many as Mane in the full season. Because he played for the move to Barcelona. I don't know, let's have a look. So he got 41 in 52 for us. So less than 1 in 3. Again, flattered to deceive. That's all I said.
It's a mad decision from him, isn't it, Chloe? I mean, you consider that he was, and it was Klopp's point about him being, you can stay here and become a legend and you can have statues built to you and all this kind of stuff. And
Salah scored more than that 1 year.
I know, it's true. Yeah. Well, that's, yeah. I mean, Kenny Dalglish shit, isn't he? Because Salah scored more goals than him. But he did. Look, he made it off for his own back. And that's the thing about Coutinho is, and then Chris ultimately isn't wrong, because you could have gone on and done more. Barcelona were a mess that he went to, and they just didn't stand all the stuff that Klopp was training out of him, which was the let's just shoot from distance every five minutes. But yeah, ultimately that last half a season for Liverpool is literally the peak of his remaining career, and now we're at a point where he's 31. He should be getting that move to Saudi because he's the same age bracket as Mo Salah, and he's the same age bracket as Neymar, and the same age bracket as Kevin De Bruyne, and he was the star in that Liverpool team up until that, well, one of the stars up until that point. And here we are. He's getting loans to. He's not even going to the Middle Eastern League that's got the bottomless pits of cash. It's a sad fall from grace.
No, I think it's beautiful. I don't like him, and the reason I don't like him is it's one thing to go to Barcelona. Look, Liverpool have been a stepping stone for a lot of my life. They were the stepping stone. Xabi Alonso ended up at Real Madrid at a stage. Liverpool aside, even Fernando Torres binned us off at Chelsea. A lot of my life, Liverpool were the stepping stone. It was a case of Luis Suarez. Oh my God, look at how good he was for Liverpool. Look at the stage we put him on. As soon as Arsenal came around the corner, no, I want to leave. Oh no, well, we're not accepting that because it's Arsenal. And then he eventually went for Barcelona. Look, was he better than Liverpool at the time? 100%. Do I think Coutinho was better than what Liverpool were at the time? I'm not too sure I can say that, because I don't think Barca were this supreme. Obviously they are in terms of being Barcelona, but in that moment, they weren't going to go on and win Champions Leagues, and Liverpool, you felt like under Jurgen Klopp might have something special there. They might be creating something. And he forced his way out. If he would have went gracefully, absolutely fine. But he pretended that he had an injury here and there. He forced his way out of the club. And I hope it haunts him. I really do. Because Jurgen Klopp literally said to you, how much he adored you. And also, if you stay here, they'll sing songs about you. You'll be on a banner. You know that banner that comes across the carp? You'll be on there. You'll have a statue outside if you create history here. You'll be remembered. You will feel loved more than you will be anywhere else. You'll never get the reception no matter what club. You go to Barcelona, watch. They've got him. They've got 10 other players who are better than you.
FC.
Yes, you do. But even Sergio Busquets, lauded. Jordi Alba, lauded. You were there were players there who were always going to be bigger than Philippe Coutinho would ever be. And at Liverpool, he had the option to make himself, you know, a hero, an icon. He didn't. He forced his way out, and his career has gone absolutely downhill. Yeah, has he won a Champions League? Yes. Did he star in that Bayern Munich team? Absolutely not. He's still won things, but I'd really like to interview him and ask him just how much he regrets leaving Liverpool. Because I absolutely live for people who think they're bigger than the football club, and then it turns out you aren't.
His issue with regards to the legacy, because I think there's plenty of players who've left Liverpool, Dan, and some of them have gone on. Not many of them have gone on and done more. No. You know, like Suarez is a good example of someone who just continued his upward trajectory. And look, that might have actually been a contributing factor. Alonso's another one who was, you know, he's remembered as being a better player for Liverpool than he actually was. You've got Sterling, who obviously is, but he and Sterling's an interesting comparison. I think they're both very similar because I don't think either of them reached their peak at Liverpool. So we actually didn't really truly get to see the fact that we can have this argument about like what was his best. If he'd stayed for one more year, I think we'd have seen him. He'd have gone on and potentially had that all-conquering. He fulfills his potential, whereas he left without getting to that level. So we've got nice little moments. There's some good goals that he scored. You know, we can all remember the little stand-up Man United in the Europa League, great goal against Stoke away in 15-16, was it 16-17? Anyway, but he left as that, so it was like a firework that never went off. Whereas someone like Torres, we got the best of Fernando Torres, and then actually we got like a bit of fun of seeing him fall off there. But at least there was something. Coutinho's just a bit. There'll come a point where you will probably it's like you forget he even played for Liverpool. I kind of have that with Sterling, but in a different way.
No, I agree with that absolutely. Yeah, and it's an interesting one. I really like Coutinho. I thought he was a brilliant footballer, and the fact we sort of 8 million we signed him for, wasn't it, from Inter Milan, and to sign someone for that cheap, who obviously hasn't quite worked in Italy for him for whatever reason. All of a sudden, you see this lad, and you think, tell you what, there's a little bit going on here. He's a little bit special. And he has these flashes of brilliance and inspiration. I remember the goal he scored against Man City as well on the way, trying to win the title that year, and he just had that quality within him, and you think, okay, this kid is sort of on the cusp, on the verge of really breaking through that glass ceiling and going, he could be world class to world class. And you're right, I think he clearly knew that himself. And I think the problem is, and Chloe's right in what she says, and sort of the grass isn't always greener. We've seen that now on multiple different times, and that was definitely the case when it came to Coutinho, of course. But he's also seen different stories like Luis Suarez and other people of that ilk. And I think the issue is, and I, with a heavy heart, I have to say this, but when a lad comes from Brazil like he does, the lure of Barcelona is just too much to resist. And unfortunately, whatever we think of Liverpool Football Club, he doesn't share that same belief. To us, to him, to us it's everything. To him, it's just a football club, and it's just a pathway in his career that he's taken at that moment in time. And you're right, he should have seen what Jurgen Klopp was telling him, and he should have listened, he should have heeded the advice, he should have seen the project and what Jurgen Klopp was capable of, and he should have gone, you know what, I'm going to stick around here because it could be special. He's been blinded by the fact it's Barcelona. Whatever we think of Barcelona at the time, and they were a mess, it's Barcelona Football Club. And unfortunately, them and Real Madrid, when they come calling, especially for South Americans, there's no stopping it.
And I don't think that's the case now.
Like,
no. The thing was...
I don't know, I think it might be.
I don't know about that.
Look at like, I mean, again, but these are good. I don't know, they've got no money, have they, which is Barcelona's issue, so they can't quite have to put this. They've got no dough. They're in dire straits, but like Robert Lewandowski still plays for them, and Gundogan still goes to them, and all the.
And Bernardo Silva's tempted, by the way, every single year.
I think it's slightly different now. I think Liverpool are on a different level because, you know, if you go into Barcelona, you're not guaranteeing yourself anything. Real Madrid are a better team than them.
But at the time, it's just worth remembering.
No, at the time they were more.
They've lost Neymar, and they're telling Coutinho, we're bringing you in as the replacement. Suarez is there, Messi's there, and you're going, well, mate, you're just going to come in and play with the best. You're going to slot into the best front three in world football. And Liverpool, again, Michael Owen made this mistake in 2004. He misses out on winning the European Cup with Liverpool because he sees Real Madrid. I'm going to go and play with Ronaldo, and I'm going to play with Van Nistelrooy, I'm going to play with Raul, and not realising that all of them played in the same position and it wasn't going to be possible. But, you know, it's like... And we talk about, funny enough, we did a draft show and we talked about Emre Can. There was a couple of players who'd just been at Liverpool, their development years came in the real fallow years for Liverpool. So all of a sudden it's like, well, I've only got so much time in my career. Liverpool aren't guaranteed to be going anywhere, and I'm gonna jump ship. Liverpool's history is littered with those lads who went, oh no, I'm not sure for me. I'm gonna go and try this instead and see if this works out for me. And I agree. I don't think he would have necessarily been. We just don't know, do we? You know, would he have usurped Mane or not? But think about what Liverpool did when they brought Jota in. We didn't replace Coutinho, as in to have a fourth brilliant lad for the front three until Jota. He could have been, even in that environment, we could have scored more goals. You know what I mean? It could have been something, but he was an idiot. He chose the wrong thing and he's paying for it.
Emre Can's another one where there was a time in my life where I thought to myself, he could be Germany's captain in the future. Like, he just could. He held himself. I thought he was a boss midfielder. You know, he had some outrageous moments. The overhead against Watford is one of the greatest goals I will ever see. But once again, he thought he was bigger than the football club. And it wasn't like someone was massively after him.
Well, he went to Juventus, who were the one Serie A, like, what, 10 years on the bounce or whatever.
Every year, but he hardly did
but that's
anything
what they both
for
did.
them.
That's the funny thing about them, is that we now know the future. We know what Liverpool went on to achieve, and maybe we couldn't have achieved that if we'd kept those lads. You'll never know. Butterfly effect and that. But neither of those both, you know, the states both of those football clubs are in now. It's quite funny to.
I just think people enjoy, like, we talk about the biggest clubs in world football. It's Barcelona, it's Real Madrid, it's Man United, it's Liverpool for me, and I think you can throw AC or Inter in those kind of brackets. But I understand those two stand out, Real Madrid and what I call tourist clubs, in that no matter anywhere in the world where you go, you'll see someone with a Real Madrid or Barcelona shirt on, mainly for Messi and Ronaldo, but also because they're the ones everywhere in the world. The stadiums, you hear about the Camp Nou, the Bernabeu growing up. Everything is based on Real Madrid winning 13 Champions League titles, often when half of us couldn't even get in the competition. And I understand what you're saying, but the bigger picture is you're just another person to that football club, where at Liverpool, you could have been everything.
Or he could have been crap, like Christian.
He could have.
Right, Philippe Coutinho.
I didn't say crap, I said flat into the season. You called him a firework that didn't go off. I don't see the difference.
Sam Squibb.
They're both exactly the same.
Best wishes, Phil Coutinho. Good luck with whatever comes next. We'll look forward to seeing you in the Legends game in a few years' time.